Welcome to today's episode of the E.N.G. Media Podcast. We have a very exciting guest, Todd with Test Double. For those of you just joining the podcast, I am Christian Gannon, the co-founder of E.N.G. Media, and we specialize in helping software and tech companies scale their revenue. If you want to learn how to take your software tech business to the next level, make sure to stick around. So let's get right into it. I understand Test Double is a software consultancy company that helps teams ship high quality code without the chaos. Whether it's legacy modernization, reducing tech debt, or avoiding expensive rewrites, your team embeds directly with clients to get things done the right way. Could you share a little bit more about your business, the services you offer, and your role within it?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Test Double is a software consultancy, and it was started largely because we consistently saw projects struggle in the software space, whether it was failing to meet timelines, going way over budget, or in the rare occurrence where they actually hit on time and on budget, they typically released a boatload of defects or didn't actually build features that drove the business forward that actually generated good business outcomes. So since our inception, we've tried to really just help businesses achieve success with their software projects. And oftentimes you mentioned a lot of the services that we provide, like legacy modernization. We've jumped in and just done, delivered capacity for engagements. We've done coaching and training to help teams improve. We've done, rewrites when those are warranted. Any number of things, even new product delivery for smaller teams that haven't gone to market yet. Those are all in our wheelhouse. So those are all some of the services that we offer. I am one of the two co-founders of the business, and I've been its CEO since its inception.
That's awesome. And thank you so much for sharing. I did want to touch a little bit on the legacy modernization that you mentioned. It's such a huge focus right now across the board. And what do you think kind of makes this problem so persistent? And why are so many companies like really struggling to tackle it?
Yeah, I think that systems turn to legacy relatively quickly in this day and age for whatever reason, which makes you scratch your head because there's, COBOL and Fortran systems that have been running out there for decades. Why is it that it seems like every 3 to 5 years businesses need to rewrite or remediate or modernize their solutions? A lot of what we see is that some of the challenges that lead to systems becoming legacy are actually organizational or environmental. So just having the same organization continue to try to fix these things doesn't actually relieve pressure. As an example, putting a lot of pressure on the team to deliver at a really rapid pace tends to reduce quality. It tends to introduce defects. It tends to make the system a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. And those things lead to, systems that need to be rewritten over time. If you don't address the root cause of putting too much pressure on the team to deliver at an unsustainable pace, you just wind up with the same results no matter how many times you rewrite the system. So that's what we do. We try to come in, lend a fresh perspective, and really show our clients, hey, the real reason that you're kind of not achieving success are these few root causes. Let's address those, and then we can figure out how to modernize or rewrite or whatever the case may be.
That makes a lot of sense. And actually, kind of a funny story. I was at a family reunion this past weekend in the Midwest, and I come from a family of a lot of people that are in software development and coding. And one of them works at a large company. I'll just say it's a Fortune 500 because I don't want to give it away for copyright reasons. But he was saying that one of their systems runs on all legacy code, and some of those places that you were talking about, like Fortran. It's like, okay, so we hire new people, and it's still the same person that fixes it that built it 20 years ago. So how are we going to improve or get any better, like what you said? And then there's a lot of pressure to optimize it, right? Well, okay,
Yep.
how do we optimize it if we don't have the right people there or the right code to build off of in the first place? So I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's hard, right? To even take advantage of the advances in technology, you often have to look outside of the organization. Not all companies are great at having a R&D arm or, principal engineers who are staying at the forefront of technology. Oftentimes they all get burdened, with just the day-to-day operations of the existing system. So you can't expect those same people to necessarily be up to speed with all of the latest advancements. So you can't expect them to incorporate those in the solutions.
Definitely. And shifting a little bit, I wanted to talk about culture. I know before the call you mentioned that Test Double is a 100% employee-owned company, which is pretty unique in tech. There's not a lot of those. And why did you guys structure it as an ESOP, and how has that changed the long-term vision for the company?
Yeah, I would love to, take it full credit for creating a very unique business and a patentable way of delivering software. But the reality of the situation is, our team is really the ones who are delivering the highest value for our clients. So it didn't sit right with us as founders that 100% of the profits of the organization was going to us when over time, less and less of the value generated by the organization was actually from our individual work. And don't get me wrong, like we took the risk. We started something a little bit different. We codified the culture and codified, our approach to delivery and things of that nature. So we deserve a little bit of credit. But we definitely didn't feel like it was equitable for us to consume all of the value generated when our consultants were day in, day out doing all of the hard work, helping to address these big issues with clients. And those successes at clients were really what propelled more and more opportunities to delight other clients. That's the flywheel that we've had spinning. And, a huge portion of the credit for that goes to all of the consultants who have worked here over the years. We didn't feel like it was right for them to be left out of the equity that they were creating.
That's awesome. And I think that's a great perspective to have, especially in turnover, right? I think turnover is something that gets talked about a lot in software and tech because if someone offers a better position, they're going to take it, right? Especially for people that are good at their job, and making sure that everyone's involved and has somewhat of a stake in the company really influences that, I think. And yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, we had those deep scars. We had worked at prior employers and consulting companies who really had a small subset of people who were kind of standing on the backs of all of the others. So that just didn't sit right with us. We really felt that a key part of our culture was being equitable, and it was
Mhm.
making sure that value generated was rewarded. So the ESOP was a really natural fit for us.
Definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And kind of shifting again a little bit, what's your perspective on the rise of some of the AI tools that are coming out? Are you seeing them accelerate how teams address tech debt or deliver software, or is it adding more complexity to the process?
Yeah, maybe both right now, depending on the client that you work at. I think the pace of change has been extremely hard to keep up with. So that's probably been the most surprising thing to me. I lived through the .com age and I lived through, cloud infrastructure becoming more prevalent and mobile devices becoming more prevalent and things of that nature. Like those were all pretty sizable shifts in
Hmm.
technology. I don't recall any of them being an amount of change happening at the pace that we're seeing right now with AI tooling. So I think it requires us to be a little bit more adaptive. We have to spend more and more of our days just researching and experimenting and learning out in the open how to leverage these tools to get more productivity without sacrificing quality. And I think that's the key. It's hard because we've all seen, these agents hallucinate and, create garbage that doesn't even, run effectively. But when we've been more surgical with it, when we've provided maybe more constraints, more boundaries, more specificity in what we need built, we see that it takes a lot of the drudgery of software development away. In essence, the abstraction layer has just shifted up dramatically. Similar to, when I was in college, we had to take a low level programming course and it was literally manipulating registers. To talk about
Okay.
that today, like no one manipulates registers, right? Unless you're
Right.
doing like maybe something super low level with IoT. We're built on all these levels of abstraction above that. We'll talk about for loops probably in the same vein, and maybe just in a year or two, no one's going to be authoring these things by hand because there's no value to it. It's not like, a desk built by the Amish where there's
Right.
value in that handcrafted quality. Like handcrafted artisanal software is not something people pay for, I can tell you. They want high quality for sure, but they want productivity as well. So the fact that we're seeing this tooling really excel at producing more in less time, it's a sign of things to come. And I think it's only going to accelerate.
100%. I did want to touch on something you mentioned, which was the amount and the pace that it's moving at, right? And the noise, I think, is the collateral result of that, right? There's a lot of noise, and I know that you look at LinkedIn and a lot of these other forums, and the amount of noise, it's hard to find what tools to use, right? Which ones work and which is going to produce that kind of garbage that you're talking about, right? And for us, like when we're writing copy and marketing, that's like a big thing is
Yeah.
okay, chat can't do it. It can give me an outline, but it can't do it well because it's not human. It's not someone writing that. It's not personable. It doesn't reach that audience like we would want it to as a human to human interaction.
Yeah, we've seen that as well with authoring marketing content, with authoring sales content, with authoring meaningful, blog posts that we think are helpful to other individuals. It's really good at writing surface level things.
Hmm.
It's not necessarily good about connecting two disparate things into a pattern that's memorable for people. It's not great at real creative endeavors. It's not great at always kind of coming up with new and innovative solutions. Like by its nature, it's great at radiating back to you solutions that are already out there in existence and doing that kind of pattern matching. So it's a weird it's a weird thing to adopt. And again, even with the tooling, we're seeing it change dramatically. What was Cursor 2 months ago, we're seeing, people move to something else. And it was Copilot 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Windsurf has been its own wild ride over the last couple of months. So all of these tools are just changing so quickly. It's really hard to keep up with it.
Definitely. And I think that that's an opportunity maybe for someone that's listening, if you're in this space, maybe creating a platform to maybe show how all these tools work. I think that would be helpful for me. And I think I've heard it across the board on a lot of podcasts is I know I need the tools, but I don't know where to get them and I don't know how to find them, right? Just because of the amount of noise for just one tool. Like an example would be Fireflies, right? Now you have Fathom, you have Gemini, you have four other different meeting tools that you can use. So how do I pick which one, right? So
I mentor some people at like incubators who are coming up with ideas and trying to get started. And one was like a meeting note taker tool. I was like, buddy, that ship sailed. Like that one's done. Like it's a solved problem at this point. Don't go there. Yeah, it's across all aspects of work. Like we're seeing our product focused consultants be able to have Gemini automatically transcribe meeting notes when they're doing user research, and then they can feed 10 of those sessions into Claude and have Claude spit back, hey, here's some of the common themes that I'm seeing. Here are some of the exceptions. Here's maybe some areas to dive deeper with what looks like a good product market fit. And again, it doesn't like tell you exactly what to build, but it starts seeing the patterns. It starts guiding
right.
you a little bit more. And then our product consultants are really talented. They can take that, what used to be 2 weeks of preparatory work has now condensed into a few days. And then they're off to the races with helping to articulate what some options may be for a good backlog for this product.
Definitely. And that makes a lot of sense. And kind of going back, we were talking about the marketing a little bit. What's currently helping you guys win new business right now? Is it inbound, word of mouth, long-term relationships like that your consultants have in the industry, or maybe something else?
Yeah, I would say the two biggest factors that we've had throughout the years have been sharing thoughtful content with people, whether that's via the blog, via conference presentations, webinars, podcasts, like you name it.
Hmm.
All of those have helped expand our reach, level up our brand awareness, and let people know that we're thoughtful, empathetic consultants in this space, and we're interested in helping. The other piece that continues to be the biggest driver of revenue for us is just really doing good work with our clients. When we delight our clients, they find other projects for us to work on. They keep our consultants around to solve other things, and they tell other people in their network about us. And it just winds up snowballing into this, like I said, flywheel of, delighting clients leading to new opportunities, which leads to more delighted clients. And from there, it's a snowball rolling downhill. So that's been by far, and I think that's common for any services based business. If you're delivering services to your customers, if you bend over backwards and, really try to help deliver as much value as you can to them, it'll come back to you in multiple ways.
Definitely. And I think that's kind of a mantra we have here at E.N.G as well, is just the more people we help, the more value we provide, the other side will come, like the revenue and everything like that. It's just making sure you do a good job with the clients that you do have.
You always have to have the longer tail view, right? So like
100%.
invest as much as you can in delighting clients, and it'll come back around. We had one client that we delighted early on, was a sizable project for us at the time, and they wound up almost like hemorrhaging like an entire like generation of leaders within the company, which
That's
was
awesome.
rough. It was a rough time for them, but
Hmm.
for us, all of a sudden, all these people who thought highly of us as a partner at that company, now they were taking on VP of engineering, CIO, CTO roles at these new businesses. And it
Hmm.
was it was just a new wave of clientele that came in, all because we had done good enough work at an existing client where when those people left and moved on, we were the first person they thought of.
That's awesome. And that's a great success story, especially when we're talking about a marathon, not a sprint, right? In the
Very
sense of
much.
thinking long-term vision. And talking about long-term vision, what does your typical day-to-day look like as a CEO and a co-founder?
Yeah, the CEO role is hard to put a pin in, to be honest with you.
Of course.
It varies quite wildly from week to week. Right now, we have some key initiatives going on. So one of which is we're looking at hiring a lead over sales and marketing for us. So that's a very strategic executive level position. So how we, create the job description, how we're going to qualify candidates, who we're going to reach out to about this opportunity, what are expectations for the role. All those things are something that we're working on right now, and it takes more time than what you would think to kind of hire a new role into a business. But I feel like that's a key part of being a CEO is how you can build the team around you that will help the business scale and succeed and have an impact. And honestly, this has been an area of need for us for a while, so it's important work. But beyond that, I'm because I haven't hired someone who's able to drive sales. I have to drive sales. So if nothing else, if you let a ball drop as a CEO, you're always the one who has to pick it up. So
Hmm.
I'm doing a lot of sales right now for our business, but also trying to make sure that the team that we do have is set up for success and the gaps that we have are filled.
Definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And kind of tying into that as well, right now, what metrics really matter to you and the test double team in that regard?
Yeah, I think of metrics in two ways. There's typically leading and lagging indicators, and both are
Of
important,
course.
but they both have their trade-offs. So, lagging indicators tend to be something that you can't really argue with, like they've happened. So,
Hmm.
there's no arguing with profit as a services-based business.
Of
If you're
course.
profitable, you're doing something right. If you're not profitable, something has to change, right? Like there's unequivocal truth for a services business. The challenge is sales efforts that we had 6 months ago are potentially driving in the new clients from 3 months ago that are the ones that we're working with right now to delight.
Hmm.
So it's if there's bubbles in the sales pipeline, they don't show up on your P&L until many months later, and at that point, you may already be in a spot where you're struggling. So profitability is the lagging indicator that I care about the most. That coupled with client delight, really, however you measure that, whether it's NPS or something
Right.
else entirely, I think those are extremely key. Leading indicators, there's just a boatload of them. On the sales and marketing side, we're always looking at who's heading to the website, how long are they sticking around, what content are they looking at, which of them actually take action to reach out to us, how many of those leads actually get converted into deals, what's the lifetime revenue of those deals, where are other deals coming from, what's the source, what's the deal size, what's the conversion rate. All of those things I think are important, and they're good signals about how well we're doing with demand generation. But ultimately, if we really do a good job of delighting clients, if all of our clients are happy with us, that'll lead to profits and it'll also lead to more opportunities.
That makes a lot of sense. And thank you for sharing that. I think for most startups and midsize and enterprises, profitability is one of the key metrics, and it always will be, right?
Yeah, it tends to be important, even in a 100% ESOP owned business.
Of course. And looking ahead, what's next for Test Double in the next 6 to 12 months? Is there any big launches or product updates on the roadmap?
Yeah, we're still figuring out how to best leverage some tooling like AI to do more of the work that we're currently doing. So I think in the last 8 years or so, we've been the beneficiary of a shortage of software talent.
Hmm.
So companies can't hire fast enough, so they fall back to consultants as a more expensive but like immediate option. And
Of
that's
course.
helped us. We've been able to jump in and solve capacity problems for clients, but also we've been able to kind of elevate those engagements into more consultative approaches so that they don't feel like they need to reach out for temporary staffing in the future. The challenge that we have is with AI. We need to be delivering something that's beyond capacity. So when I
Hmm.
talk about legacy modernization earlier, how can we leverage that tooling to accelerate the process of remediating an existing system? If we're doing a rewrite, how can we leverage that tooling to characterize the existing functionality of the system through automated testing so that we can then build a new system that still meets the same functional criteria via automated tests, right? And we'll know that very, very quickly.
Hmm.
Those are some of the things that I think we're really looking at exploring in more detail. And those are things that haven't made it out to the sales and marketing side yet. So we need to really update a lot of our services with how we're starting to leverage some of this tooling to really achieve more productivity with the same or higher level of quality. Because I think that's what all customers are going to expect.
Definitely. And I think you made a very big point, and I know you said it subtly, but more in the sense of how do I market those now? If I integrate those into my company, how do I let other people know that this is now a service I offer, something that's a part of the service, right?
Yeah, it's hard to like take a firm stance on this is our approach to AI when the tooling is changing every 2 weeks. Like
Right,
it's we would
100%.
be constantly updating, I think, our marketing copy if we were like very specific about it. So I think at a high level, we still need to provide like, here's how we're leveraging this stuff to achieve better outcomes.
Definitely. And that leads to my last question. It's a fun one, but a tough one. Hypothetically, if you had a magic wand and could solve just one problem within the business, what would that be?
Oh, people always ask this in different ways. Like, what's the one thing that keeps you up at night? I like yours is a little bit more optimistic. I've been pretty consistent over the last 14 years, though. I think it's still demand generation. How do we better understand our customers? How do we get in touch with more of those prospective customers? How do we like really make sure that the value we provide for clients is reflected in all of our marketing material, in all of our sales conversations, et cetera, so that when we are a good fit for solving the problem that's in front of a customer, we're 100% of the time winning that business. And week in, week out, we're finding more prospects. That's still like the biggest thing, that whole filling the funnel with new opportunities. It's a hard problem to solve.
It definitely is. And to wrap up, if people want to connect with you or learn more about what Test Double is doing, where could they go and how could they connect?
Yeah, our website is www.testdouble.com. So you're welcome to learn more about the business there. There's ways for you to reach out to us there as well. On LinkedIn, I am Todd Kaufman, Toddkaufman. You can find me as Test Double Todd via the LinkedIn URL. And then on most of the social medias, I'm just Todd Kaufman. So yeah, would love to chat more.
Awesome. I will leave the links in the description to Test Double's website as well as Todd's LinkedIn, but I highly recommend you check out Test Double and the incredible things they're doing in this space. Other than that, thank you again, Todd, for your time and insights today, and we will see you guys on the next podcast.